What's good everyone, my name is Hims and in today's video I'm going to be teaching you how to build a simple survival starter house in 1.17. This is going to be more of a fantasy medieval style house and we're going to be using some of the brand new blocks in the Caves and Cliffs update. Now if you guys end up learning anything new, go ahead and leave a like. It would greatly help the algorithm and help other people that may need this video find it. And according to YouTube analytics, only half of you guys are subscribed, so if you aren't subscribed yet, go ahead and subscribe. It's free and you can always unsub later. But anyways, on to the video. Alright, first step is to find a nice flat piece of land to work with, and we are going to place our very first log block right there. You're going to go 3 over, so 1, 2, 3 squares over, and place another log block. Now this is going to be the entrance of your house right here. So off of this entrance, you're going to want to come 3 backwards, place another block, and eventually you're going to end up with a square like this. Now off of this log block right here, go 3 more blocks and place another log just like that. So off of these blocks right here, go ahead and count 7. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, place a log. And again right here, so go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, place a log. And then in the back right here, just go ahead and match up those logs to the ones up front. So you should have something that looks a little like this. Next, we're gonna come off of this side, 1, 2, 3 blocks and place a log down, and again 1, 2, 3 in the middle of these blocks. So now this is the log layout that you want to be looking at right here. It's going to be like a T-shaped house with a couple little joints out the side. So now that you have that, go ahead and build on 3 more logs like this to every single log. Now when you have that, go on the outside of every single log pillar and place in some more logs like this. Now what this is going to do for the build is it's going to beefen up the bottom of the build, and it's going to make it really look like a fantasy house when we're done with it. There we go, just like that. And now what I want you to do with some spruce stairs is come along every single log you just placed down and place down some spruce stairs, just like this. Now you want to come through and fill in every single space with oak planks. Now I also have some stripped oak in my inventory, and you can choose to go ahead and swap out some of the planks with some of these stripped oak logs. Now what that'll do is it'll complicate the build a little bit more, but it will give a little bit more texture to the build, a little bit more refinement, some definition, right? Some detail. So going in and filling every single gap 3 high, and these little extension parts are a little weird. So let me come in here and show you really quick. So you normally just stack them 3 high like this. With this extension, you're going to go out 3 like this, and then just put 1 next to this pillar. And it's going to leave like a little gap right here, but that's fine. That'll give you a little bit more room on the inside of the house. All right, so by now you should have something that looks like this. Right here, we're going to go ahead and add a door in. So we're going to put those there. And then come through here and, like I said, just texture it up, guys. Replacing some of these planks with stripped logs. It's going to give it a little bit more detail. And you can even go into your inventory as well and bring in some of the birch. Now this is sort of a bigger contrast, but if you add in some of the stripped birch logs as well to kind of transition, it'll start to look really, really nice. So now that you have your wall looking like a jumbled up mess, you can see that I went around here and poked in some holes for the window. Now that is optional if you'd like. This back door is also optional. But now we're going to move on to the second layer of the house. Now this is where things start to get tricky because this is kind of an unusual build style. We're going to go ahead and bring these logs out like this. And it's going to give it like a shape of like a log cabin, right? And then all along here, we're going to fill in the tops of these right here with the oak logs. Now there is also something called stripped spruce log, which you could throw in here as well. Just like the walls, guys, it'll just give it a little bit more detail. Just kind of the block differential. Look at that. Look at that. It's looking beautiful. So now that you place those little nubs down on every single nub, go ahead and place another oak log. And guys, this house does use a lot of wood. It uses a lot of oak logs and a lot of spruce, a little bit of birch. So make sure in your survival world that you have plenty of these materials before you start building this house. Now, even though we don't have the second story done, we are going to start on the roof just because it is a little bit easier to do it like this in survival. And this is when we're going to start breaking into the new 1.17 blocks. So go ahead and take your cobbled deep slate stairs, and we're going to make a roof just like this. Take another stair and place it upside down on the back side of that stair and place a block on top of that. And what you're going to do is repeat this pattern, and this is going to give you a very tall peaked roof, something that's very, very good for fantasy builds. Now, just like the other side, go ahead and come along right here, go on the other side of this, and just start building it up. Now, when you get to the top of the peaked roof like this, go ahead and place a cobbled deep slate stair just like that, upside down. Place another block right here. And now it's kind of up to you what you want to do for this little part of the roof. Now, you could do something simple like that. You could bring out another stair like this. You could bring out a stair like that. I mean, the options are endless, guys. But what we're going to do in this tutorial right here to make it look really fantasy is give it a big old fat one like that, right? That looks pretty fantasy, pretty cartoony. So now this is where it starts to get tricky, right? We got to start on the other roof, which is going to be boom, just like that. So then we connect it, follow along right here. This is kind of hard to explain, so you're going to have to visually follow along, but go ahead and connect the stairs at a 90-degree angle like that. And now on this one, we're going to have another roof, guys, that comes out to right here. And with this one, we're just going to bring it all the way back to this log right here. Now, I know it seems kind of confusing, but once you get these roofs down, guys, it's going to be pretty simple to just blast through it, especially if you already have all the materials. Now, along this back wall right here, if you guys do want a back porch, you can always put a stair like this and then bring this stair out. And then what we're going to do is just build again along like this, just like how we did in the front. Now with the back porch, you can go ahead and make a simple stair one like this. Just because it is the back porch, right? It's nothing too fancy. So now that we have all the stairs put in place, we're going to come through here and just build them all up like we did the very front of the house. Now this middle section of the roof is going to be way taller than this first half and even taller than this one. And that's okay. That's how it's supposed to be. And they will kind of touch every now and then. It is sort of a weird design with this roof, but it's okay. Just go ahead and fill in the outline. And then we're going to end up filling in the roof with some of the new blocks from the 1.16 update. And just like this is exactly how these two peaks are going to look right next to each other. And if I'm going too fast for you guys in this tutorial video, you can pause the video anytime you'd like. This is a lot of building for this starter house. It's sort of a larger starter house. So if it is confusing, go ahead and pause the video anytime you guys need to. All right, so you should have something that looks a little bit like this. And this is how I build my houses in creative, but it's also exactly how I build my houses in survival, guys. I always start out with the frame right here just because it's a little easier. But now the next block you're going to want to get is some warped planks, and we're not going to be using stairs. We're going to be using planks for this roof just because it gives it a different feel, and we're going to be able to switch out these planks for some more blocks that don't have stairs. So always keep that in mind when you're building roofs. If you're going to build a stair roof, make sure you have a lot of different blocks that you could kind of go, transfer in between. And so this is what it's going to start looking like from here. So we're going to go ahead and just keep on filling in with these warped planks, going through the whole roof. And just whenever we get to a connector like that, just go ahead and fill it in just like that. Roofs always take forever in Minecraft, but when you're done, you should have something that looks a little bit like this. Now, I will admit the roof does look a little bit boring right now, but what you could do is you could come to the top right here and knock off this top row. And now what that's going to do is just give it a little dip, just a little slight dip, but that's just going to add just that little bit of flair that we need in the roof to make it a little bit more interesting. Now we're going to come in our inventory and get some stripped warp stem. Now you can also get some cyan wool if you want, and really we're looking for anything with this cyan sort of color. So even some of the prismarine blocks will do if you'd like. And of course we can't forget about one of the best features of 1.17, the waxed copper. Now this stuff goes good with anything, I swear. You can put this stuff in anything. But yeah, just come along here and just texture up the roof, make it a little, give a little bit of variance to the blocks, make it so it's not so boring and drag the whole way through. My favorite one is the stripped stem, just because, I mean, the planks and stems go along so well together. And you should have something that looks like this. Now, we're not going to do anything too crazy. I'm not going to spend too much time on the detail of this build. But now we're going to come through and actually finish off this second story. And I do build my houses like this in survival. I do find it a little bit easier because all you have to do when you come back through here is just fill up the walls, right? So go ahead and fill in all the rest of the oak supports right here with logs. And again, in 1.17 fashion, we're going to be using another new block called calcite. Now, we're going to be using this for the upper layer to give it a little bit of difference from the bottom layer. What we're going to do is just go ahead and fill in every single wall that you see with the calcite so far. We're going to end up switching it up in a little bit, giving it some variance, but I always find it easier to fill in a large area and then go back and then texture it up. So I wanted to come in here and show you guys, I know it's a little bit dark, but this is what one of the sides is going to look like with the protruding sides sticking out. We're going to have just a line of calcite on the outside like this. And why we're gonna have that? Well, because when we go to the side right here and then look in between the roofs, we can see that one little layer of calcite, right? And we got to fill that in. But yeah, after that, this is what you should have, a little bit of white peeking through, and that's exactly what we want, right? It looks really, really good in my opinion. Now, what you can do is come through here and add another little log right there, just adding supports everywhere. It really adds to the build, right? Even if you really don't need a support right there, just adding a little bit more texture like that can add so much to the build. And we're also going to be coming through here and texturing it up with, I know, here comes the hate in the comments, the diorite, right? Diorite is a beautiful block if you use it right. Now, if you want to do the supports, that's all up to you. But right here, we're going to punch out a window. Right here, we're going to punch out another window. If you guys couldn't tell, I really like my windows. So this right here is pretty much the build, guys. Now, you guys might be wondering, well, you're missing windows, you're missing doors, all that stuff. All of the things that we're going to be working on now is optional. So you guys can change out whatever you want. See right there, I added some stairs to kind of make that slope dive in a little better. And then if you guys want, instead of these right here, you could come through with some spruce and just build it up like that. Or if you'd like, you can even come through on the bottom and put some spruce stairs like that. It really all depends on what you guys like. So I think we're going to do the front like this, and we'll do the sides like this. Another neat trick is to add in fence gates on these supports right here. It's going to beefen up the structure just a little bit more and make it look a little bit more fantasy, as well as putting in some black stone buttons right here. They kind of look like iron spikes that are holding everything together, right? And if you come on the underside right here, you can actually see a little gap into the house. Now, what we can do is fill this in with some spruce logs like that, or if you'd rather like some deep slate, you can even do that to match with the roof. It's all up to you if you want to match the roof or the support. I think we're actually going to match the support. I think it makes a little bit more sense, right? And for areas where it's only one, I just like to put a slab like that. It's a little bit more simple. I think with this particular build, we're going to go with some cyan stained glass panes, just because I think it kind of suits the fantasy style. You know what? Something else that you can do with glass panes to make the fantasy style kind of pop out more is just add some sort of like glass like this. And when you do this, it gives it more of a mosaic look, kind of like you would find in a church or something like that. But we're using it on the outside for sort of a decoration to give it more of a fantasy feel. Now on the lower parts, I would go with some, what are they? Some oak fence gates, right? And these are really cool as windows. I love putting these as windows. Not only does it look really medieval, but it also means that you can actually open the windows like you would be able to if you had these wooden kind of windows in your house. Now, if you don't want oak, you could always do spruce. It might make it a little bit more intriguing, or you can always switch it up with some birch, and you can even go along and put different color woods for different color sides. Like, dude, let's do an acacia one. Yeah, let's get crazy with it. Boom. There we go. Now that's fantasy. You guys always have to remember with fantasy builds, it's just some crazy, wild out there stuff. Go ahead and give your building a door, and just like that, you are ready to move in. Now you could stop here, but I'm gonna go ahead and just blend in this house to the landscape. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, in Minecraft, in survival, you have to kind of build with what you have. This is a creative world, so I kind of searched around for a bit for the ideal location, but now we're gonna go ahead and just make it seem like this house is actually meant to be here. And what I mean by that is putting in some pathways to the house, right? Actually building out a porch and maybe putting in a custom tree, maybe putting in some farms around here and everything like that. And that really ties in the house to the landscape. And just like that, with a couple decorations on the outside, some flower beds, some rose bushes, some bone meal, we have a house that looks like it has been set in this world for a while. And if we go on the inside, now I'm not going to teach you guys how to do the inside, the interior of this build, just because I want you guys to use your imagination. If you guys have a survival world and you build this in it, what are you going to put in this house? I mean, it could have a second store where you put your bedroom and your storage table. Down here, you can have a little mini kitchen, mini storage area for all your food. You can have a crafting setup. I mean, the possibilities are endless, really. And if you guys want me to do a how to decorate an interior of a house, this would be the perfect building for me to do it. So let me know down in the comments if you guys would like to see that video. But unfortunately, that is all the time that I have for today. If you guys like this build, then go ahead and leave a like, leave a comment as well. Let me know if you guys built this in your very own survival world. And if you guys want to see more tutorial videos like this, then go ahead and subscribe. But until next time, guys, I'm out.